This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to look at the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Whiplash figure, the evil tail thrashing warrior, part of the Filmation cartoon collection. And I believe this is the last one I have to do for the Filmation cartoon collection. We're pretty much done with it, unless Mattel decides to actually continue this line, which, since they started the 2000X version, I don't think they're going to, which is a shame because there's still figures I would like to have seen. You know, like Adora, Sorceress, Scorpia, Glimmer, Castaspella, blah blah blah, you know. Bunch of the figures that we didn't get. Also, I really want Katrina, which we did actually get in the Super 7 line for the Club Grayskull figures, or whatever they called it at that point. Anyway, let's take a look at the back of the box, or I'll just meander on some more. On the back, we see Whiplash fighting against He-Man, Stratos, and either Hawk or Dove. I cannot remember. Was it? Yeah, because I think, like I said, in one version, that's his sister. In another version, it's his wife. And I think Filmation was the one where it was his sister, and I think her name was Dove. But I don't remember for sure, and I'm feeling kind of bad that I don't. But this is as seen on The Betrayal of Stratos, modernizing and celebrating the original 80s Masters of the Universe animated series. And she is another figure I want to see in this line, even if I can't remember what her name is, because that is a cool looking female character, and I love thigh-high boots, especially if they have high heels. But that's a whole separate thing. Anyway, he includes rocket launcher, and you can twist him into powerful battle positions. They say nothing about his tail, though. As part of this wave, we had Bo, the special friend who helps She-Ra, Whiplash, the evil tail-thrashing warrior, and Shadow Weaver, the evil mistress of dark magic. But let's go ahead and open this sucker up, shall we? His little white sheet shows all the parts that come off of him, so it... And on the other side, it shows the directions on sticking his tail up his back hole. Yeah, who cares? He comes with the comic, Final Fright. Blah, blah, blah. Hordak's attacking Eternia and Etheria at the same time. He-Man travels to Primus and recruits his future self, and they go ahead and destroy Hordak's armada and free the Great Rebellion from the siege of Hordak, also allowing them to open apparently the dimensional rift so that they go back and forth between Etheria and Eternia again. So She-Ra and He-Man decide they need to save Skeletor, so they go to do that. Bo shows up because he's in this wave and he needed to have something to do, where they go to the Fright Zone, which has the serpent version of the creature that guards the Fright Zone, instead of the six-legged thing we actually got with the Fright Zone. Hordak is threatened by the weird overseers of Despondos. Skeletor has, of course, been brainwashed a bit here, which is a shame. Although that is a cool-looking Skeletor, and it's a shame we're probably not going to get that figure also. He-Man takes on the serpent, and Bo shoots an arrow at it. Skeletor does whatever Skeletor does. Shadow Weaver uses a spell to put Bo in a state that's neither alive or dead, so a coma. He-Man calls Skeletor Uncle, even though I'm pretty sure that in no other comic have we actually shown that Prince Adam was He-Man, or that Skeletor was Keldor. At least not at this point. Really, I think the only time we really saw Keldor mentioned in this series was actually in Courtship with Queen Marlena and King Randor. But He-Man uses words to try to break Skeletor free, and it works, because words have power and friendship is magic. Shadow Weaver, seeing that Skeletor is free and He-Man and She-Ra are there and Hordak is losing, she decides to vanish on her own because she ain't going down with the ship. Hordak tries to attack again. She-Ra deflects it. There's a little bit of a fight, almost, before the Overseers go ahead and snag Hordak, who attempts to snag Skeletor, but then his hand gets cut off as the dimensional rift closes, which is kind of lame because it would have been far more interesting if He-Man or She-Ra had actually cut his arm off themselves. But we can't have that in a kid's cartoon, can we? But we can show Skeletor being tortured massively. Actually, wait a minute. When Hordak was torturing Skeletor? Did they mention Kildor then? I don't remember. Anyway, Skeletor goes walking off into the sunset on his own. He-Man and She-Ra let him go. And that's pretty much it. Kind of a lame ending to the comic series. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our Whiplash here. We got his tail. The tail is flexible, but not bendy, if you know what I mean by the difference there. Because you can't shape it at all. And unlike the original Origins one, it doesn't have a spot to twist it at. But all we can do is stick it in the hole right there on his back. This is probably like a similar back to what they did with Buzz Off. So let's go ahead and stick the tail in. I'm just playing with this a little bit. You might be able to pull that out if you really, really, really wanted to, but you'd probably break it. I am not a fan of this head sculpt. I mean, I think it's pretty accurate to the cartoon, but it looks awful. Not to say that the original Origins version or the vintage version's head was all that great either. It's just, I don't know. This kind of reminds me more of Shrek for some reason. He just seems like kind of like a fat dude. He's got like a fat dude's head on a muscular body. You know what I mean? Anyway, just standard body otherwise, pretty much. This part was glued onto the rest of that. Although it feels like this too is actually rubber, so there's like a hard plastic in there and this rubber overlay, which is designed to line up with his shoulder here. So honestly, they did a really good job on this design as far as doing that part. But he does not have the tail whipping action, which is why we got the pose and battle positions rather than tail whipping action. And they couldn't even be bothered to make the tail long enough so you could use it as a third knee to hold him in place or hold him up. So that's another fail on Mattel's part right there. You know, some of these figures, like Rattler, has a tail that's too long and makes him want to flip forward. This guy, tail's too short. Although apparently you can still balance him. His rocket launcher here. The rocket itself actually does come out. Oh, God. Theoretically, you could force it into his hand. So we'll just say you probably don't want to put this in a female figure's hand. It'd be just like Shadow Weaver's Hitachi Magic Wand, only, you know, different. But he can like sort of hold the rocket launcher, which this feels like it's actually too small to really be a rocket launcher. But then again, this is Masters of the Universe, so you can't really position the arms properly for holding a rocket launcher. Because I'm going to assume even in that show, because I don't remember this at all, honestly, this is probably on his shoulder. Again, dude, he looks like a fat diner owner. Chef, cook, whatever. Yeah, I'm just going to call it a dildo launcher. Fine, I said it. Anyway, articulation-wise, head looks down, looks back, over, side, side. Spin the arm in a 360. Can hinge it up, can hinge it down, can hinge it up, can hinge it down. Arm moved at less than 90, but not too bad of a thing. Goes straight forward. There is, of course, a pin in there, so you can make inappropriate gestures with him. Arm spins at 360. His hand here is designed to hold his magic sword aloft. The other hand just has the in and out articulation instead of the up and down. Again, it's kind of weird that so many figures in the cartoon collection have that hand. You can spin him at the waist. The thighs do kind of hit the tail when you do that, however. You can kick the leg up, and you can kick it back a little bit. Tail gets in the way on that side. Does not get in the way on that side. We get almost 90-degree bend at the knee. There is a hinge, not a hinge, but a Since it's a peg in there, you can spin that. Foot spins at a 360-degree roundabout at the boot cut. We got a hinge down at the ankle. And of course, since there's a pin again, we get to spin it. Spin it like you want to win it. Oh, tail spin. So strictly speaking, the origins of Whiplash doesn't have a particularly good looking head either. I don't know what they were thinking at all with any of this stuff. And what the hell's with the nose tooth on the original one? But as far as the cartoon collection goes, he looks fine. Like, it's not one of these things where I'm going to sit here and say I regret buying him or anything because I wanted to finish off my cartoon collection. I don't like that head design. And, that's Filmation's fault mostly, to be honest with you. Not that, again, the Origins version or the vintage version is any better overall. I do like the dildo launcher more than I like the spear, but I'm disappointed with the tail. Like, as you can see on our Origins version, I've got his tails twisted right there at the bottom because it could twist. This one from the cartoon collection can't twist, and also, if you take a look, you'll notice that the Origins version does touch the ground, so it can help keep him standing up, whereupon cartoon collection doesn't. If you weren't going to make it move anyway, why didn't you just go ahead and have it sit on the ground to help hold him up? I guess all we can say is to Mattel is, "You're so stupid. But that being said, I really don't care about this figure at all. Like, mostly, honestly. He just doesn't do it for me. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase that, but he just really doesn't. I don't know. The head just bothers me so much. And that tail, like, they've done so much better on tails in the past with so many other figures. But this one just sucks balls, But why don't you let me know what you think of this figure in the comments below? And if you want to get him, or did this review make you decide not to get him? But you know what? If you enjoyed it, please feel free to whip that like button with your static tail. And if you want to hear more of my nonsense in the future, you can subscribe. Feel free to ring on that notification bell. I thank you for watching. Peace and love.